Usual suspects from going down.
Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.
Dundalk still trailing Molde by 2-1. 10 minutes left in Tala. In the same group, Arsenal have turned it around. They're 2-1 up away at Rapid Vienna, while Rangers 1-0 up away from home in Standard Liège. We will have a lot more on that on the football show after 9 o'clock. But it's 7:30 on a Thursday. John Giles is with us as always. Evening, John.
Evening, Nathan.
How are you keeping?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Still here.
Good. It's been a busy all week. There's a lot to get through. We might start with what may well be one of the defining moments of the season, Virgil Van Dijk's injury for Liverpool. Just how big an issue is this going to be for Jurgen Klopp?
Very big. I think he's been criticised. I think he was complaining about it week about not getting more defenders in the summer. But you can't legislate. You can't legislate for what happened, Nathan. Although when you're going into a hard season with a lot of matches, there's always a possibility of something like this happening. So it's a big blow for Liverpool. There's no doubt about that.
It's hard to think of a more transformative player in the Premier League over the last 2 or 3 years. What Van Dijk has brought to Liverpool, you just have to accept if Jurgen Klopp, there is no like-for-like replacement. You just got to get on with it.
No, I heard a rumour they might be going for Cody. Did you hear that, Nathan?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know Jamie Carragher was putting it to him on Monday Night Football, but he's obviously a former Liverpool underage player, so I'm not sure how much there was in that. But they'll have to wait till January.
It would make sense if they could get him. I can't see Wolves letting him go unless they're paying an awful lot of money. But he would be a great replacement for him, I think. Anyway, an outstanding replacement, and he's type of player as well. If he did get him and Van Dijk recovered, as we all hope he will, there'd be a good partnership at the back. But anyway, we'll have to wait and see on that.
You were over the opening weeks of the season very impressed with Liverpool, and you felt at the start of the season that they would have it in them to go and win back-to-back titles. Does Van Dijk's injury change your view in that?
Well, it doesn't help, Nathan, but I would still back them. I think to be odds on, in my book, to go on and win it. Definitely. I mean, who's going to challenge them to start with, Nathan? You know, I know they have to do the stuff, and I'm sure they will. I mean, they can play Fabinho at the back. They got the other lad to come in midfield now. Not as good as Van Dijk, but they'd be as good as any of the other teams at the back, Nathan. Yeah. And who's going to do it? Are Man U going to do it? Are Arsenal going to do it? I don't think Manchester City will do it. I watched Manchester City in the Champions League last night. I know they won, but I didn't think they were very good, Nathan. So I still can't see anybody stopping Liverpool.
Right, because there's a lot of statistics out there of Liverpool with Van Dijk, Liverpool without Van Dijk, how many more goals they concede, how many more chances they give up, particularly from set pieces. You wouldn't be concerned that actually not having him there alongside a Fabinho, a Gomez or a Matip, that they won't just collapse, that he's the one who holds all this together?
No, I don't think there's any possibility of them collapsing, Nathan, whatsoever. I still think even with Van Dijk out, they still have the best defensive lineup with Fabinho, Gomez at the back, and the two fullbacks, as we know, and the goalkeeper, Alisson. They're still the best. They still have the best defence. They'd still be better than any of the teams that are likely to challenge them. I still think without Van Dijk, they'd still have the best defence.
Fabinho last night playing in that position against Ajax, Jurgen Klopp was raving about his performance afterwards, and it's not the first time he stepped in at the back, albeit it was alongside Van Dijk the last time he was there. He's obviously played most of his football now at Liverpool in midfield, but from what you've seen of Fabinho, does he have the skill set that's easily transferable to playing centre back?
Definitely. I think it's his best position by far. And don't forget in midfield, we've got Thiago, is it, to come in?
Yeah.
Now, I think, without question, is Fabinho's best position is in the back. He's got all the qualities for that. He's good in the air. He's quite a big lad. He tackles well. He uses the ball well, which is a bonus for most centre-halves in that position. And I think we went on the programme a couple of weeks ago when we started. I said that Liverpool will be stronger this year than they were last year because they'll have Thiago in the middle of the field, and I think Fabinho is the best centre-half alongside Van Dijk, and I think he'll do the job for them now.
Can an incident like this have a a mental effect on a team. It's rare that a player of such importance picks up such a serious injury. And I don't know if you've experienced it when you were playing of a player being ruled out of that stature for 6-9 months, that not having him on the pitch, that for the players themselves to get used to the fact he's not going to be there and the confidence he brings, is that going to take a bit of work?
No, I don't think so, Nathan. No. I think if he was in a middle-of-the-table team and you have a player like Van Dijk or as important to them, I think that what you're talking about could happen, that the players say, oh, God, what are we going to do? But you have to look at the players individually at Liverpool, Nathan. I mean, Van Dijk was a big member of the team that won last year. But look at all the other players. You know, you got Robertson, Sane, all these guys. These are terrific players. And of course they'll miss him, but they won't be saying, oh, what are we going to do without him? Particularly when you have players that can come in, like Fabinho and Thiago, then coming into the field, into the midfield. You know, they will be weakened, but they won't be weakened so badly that other teams will catch up with them. And I just said what I said before. I think with Van Dijk out, I still think they've got the best defence.
What about
all the players? You know, the other players, they don't, like Milner and his experienced players, Henderson and experienced players. Like, you don't win the league the way they won it last year without having leaders in the team. You don't just have one leader, Nathan. You have about 4 or 5 or 6 in the team. And any player that you look at Liverpool, if you take them individually, Mane, Salah, Fabinho, these are all terrific players. So, of course, they'll miss him. But I think my taking is that instead of winning the league by 10 points this year, they'll win it by 5.
Right. So you don't think then that as good as Van Dijk is and as highly as you rate him, that he's not necessarily the glue that holds that together, that Andy Robertson isn't arguably the best left-back in the world because he can bomb forward, because he knows he has Van Dijk who's there, who'll always clear up the danger, that Robertson will still be able to do that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you see, when you're playing with Robertson doing what he does going forward, Nathan, he'd still do it. He'd still have to do it because that's part of the team. You know, it wouldn't stop him from doing it. He wouldn't say, oh, I can't go because Van Dijk is not playing. It doesn't work that way. He'll still doing it. He's got Fabinho there. He'll have confidence in him because they're all good players. Like, Liverpool don't have a weakness, the players to bring in. You know, they bought a couple of players. And I think Van Dijk will be a loss, but not as big a loss to lose the Premiership for them.
What about the tackle then? Because Gini Wijnaldum was talking before the game, saying that, like most people, Pickford maybe didn't go out to injured Virgil van Dijk, but he said the way he went in was completely stupid, and that in these games against Everton, while everyone wants to win a derby, sometimes you go over the top. It was too much. Not only that tackle, Richarlison on Thiago was also a nasty one. Was there something in Everton's performance that they went out to leave a mark on Liverpool, to show that they were a real force again?
No, I think Wijnaldum was wrong to suggest that, to be quite honest. I think obviously Pickford was very wrong in what he did. Of course he wouldn't go out. I never known that well. I've known a few players who would go out to injure somebody. I don't think he did, but that doesn't matter. In the consequence is the main thing. Like, it was a bad tackle. He's injured Van Dijk badly. Now, I don't think for a second he went to do Van Dijk, but that's not the point. I mean, it was a very, very bad tackle and dangerous tackle. I don't think it was. I don't think he meant to do it, but it was a bad tackle, Nathan, and he should have been punished for it. He should have been sent off. But I think what Wijnaldum was saying was that this seems to be the trend now in the derbies against Everton in particular. Well, I haven't seen that. I mean, Richarlison's tackle was bad and deserved to be sent off. But I can't remember the recent Liverpool-Everton matches where you could say that Everton were really kicking lumps out of Liverpool.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't agree with that.
Obviously, there was any amount of talk about VAR after the game with that, how Pickford wasn't sent off, how the referee didn't go and have a look himself, the offside, and it probably ends up overshadowing the actual game, which was an Everton side who are massively improved this season and over the last 6 months under Carlo Ancelotti against the league champions, and it's a 2-2 draw, and it's as entertaining a game as you'll see. On the Everton performance then, because this was a big moment, they're going in top of the league ahead of Liverpool. It's a real rarity for them. How impressed have you been with them this season?
Very good. I think Ancelotti's got a hold of it, Nathan, since he's come in. I think he's taken over the buying of the players. I mean, if you look at the players that he's brought in, I think at least two of them played for him. You got Rodriguez, Gomez, who's already there, Alan, De Cure. I think he's picked them. I think he knows them. He knows they're good players, and he knows what he's getting. And I think there's been a problem with Everton for the last few years when the director of football, I believe, was in charge of bringing players in, and it hasn't worked out very successfully. I think Ancelotti had a word with the owner to say that hasn't worked out. Let's do it my way now, and because it can't be any worse. And I think he's definitely been responsible for getting the players in that he's got in. And you've got Coleman coming back to form. And a big plus for Everton is having Calvert-Lewin doing what he's doing, Nathan. He's an old-fashioned centre-half. He's big, he's strong, he's brave, and he's getting the supply. I don't think Everton are playing as much people would say playing out from the back. I think he's going back in time a little bit, Ancelotti, and I think quite rightly. I think playing out from the back has been overdone. He's not doing that. He's getting it up to Calvert-Lewin every chance he gets. Corner kicks, free kicks, getting the ball wide like he did the other day against Liverpool. Great had it in the back of the net. So he's one of the old-fashioned centre forwards, in my opinion. And he scored loads of goals, and I think he'll continue to score goals because Ancelotti can see exactly what he can do in the air, and he's got the players in to provide him with the ammunition for that. Yeah,
it is incredible what he's done at the start of this season because I haven't seen a lot of Everton in recent seasons. I know even listening to co-commentators, they would have felt, has he got it in him to be a 20-goal-a-season striker? But he looks it right now. He looks the real deal. Yeah, he's come on well. He always had the basic stuff. I think he's been big, brave. I think Ferguson works on him, I think, at the club. And he's got the confidence. And, it's all about confidence as well. Because you find with strikers, and he had a reputation, well, he's a good lad, but he doesn't score goals. And that's now that he's got a few under his belt, it gives him the confidence to know I can do it, I'll go and do it. And he is a game lad, really brave lad. He'll go for everything in the air. And he's got the supply now as well with the players that Ancelotti's brought. So I think Everton could be the nearest team to Liverpool this season. Yeah. You think they're that good? Yeah, I do. I think if we could add a couple of players to the squad, the only problem is getting a few injuries. I think he's a bit thin on a lot of players, but I think what he has and keeps them fit. Seamus Coleman is back to his best. I think that they're a real side now, Everton. All right. John, stick with us. We need to take a break. It is still Dundalk 1, Mulder 2. They are into injury time in Tala. We'll have the full time in just a moment.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power.
New normal, same old football. Paddy Power.
Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.
On tomorrow's Pat Kenny Show.
Hey, I'll make it up to you later.
Make it up to me now. Let's find a room. They must have a few.
The Undoing is a series about the unravelling of a marriage and the lies it was built upon, starring Hugh Grant and Nicole Kidman. We'll be joined by its Oscar-winning director, Suzanne Bier. A Greek tragedy or a comedy of errors, Yanis Varoufakis on the future of Europe. Gareth Mullins will spice up your breakfast with a recipe from Mexican eggs. And the last showdown, who came out best, Biden or Trump?
The Pat Kenny Show.
With Matter Private.
Tomorrow morning at 9.
On News Talk.
If you're selling or distributing UK products in Ireland, then with Brexit approaching, it's time to get ready for a whole new ball game.
15-all.
That's right. From January 1st, 2021, the rules of the game will change for sellers and distributors of UK products in Ireland. Get ready for the change today. Visit ccpc.ie/Brexit. From the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. Getting Ireland Brexit Ready. A Government of Ireland initiative.
Right now, more than ever, it makes sense to get better deals on those business and household utility bills. We can help at wecansaveyoumoney.ie. From gas and electricity to mobile and broadband, even commercial merchant services. We will review your suppliers to get the best rate, and it's a completely free service to our clients. Much like an insurance broker, our fee is picked up by the supplier. Last year, we saved our customers over €9 million. All you have to do is send us a recent bill and we will do all of the work for you. Best of all, you keep 100% of the savings. Find out how at wecansaveyoumoney.ie or call 01 529 2211 to talk to one of our staff and start saving money today.
Oh, what are you doing?
doing?
Just adding some light to my home office.
All right, Dermot. Well, step away before you do any more damage.
Improving your home? Want to spend less on a loan? Avantcard offers their lowest ever rate on loans over €20,000. I know what I'm doing.
Apply today at avantcard.ie. Lending criteria, T's and C's apply. New applications only. Info correct 1st October 2020. Source ccpc.ie. Avantcard Act rating as Avantcard is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
I was really busy today. And then I remembered I'd been invited to another party. It was just me, Rex the dinosaur, Ivy the doll, Maria the robot, and my daughter Lily, hosting with a plate of Jacob's crackers and biscuits. Kimberley, Mikado, Club Milks, the works. And yeah, I was late for my next meeting, but for one of Lily's parties, worth it. 'Cause I suppose sometimes it's those little in-between times that mean the most.
Jacob's, the welcome in-between.
Check this out. Your local Super Value has hundreds of low prices in the Super Value range. Like Super Value Strawberry Yogurts 4-pack, only $1.49. Super Value Cocoa Breakfast Biscuits 300 gram, $1.76. And Super Value Laundry Gel Bio 630ml, $3.24. Check out the Super Value own brand range for yourself. For low prices that compete with anyone, it's got to be Super Value.
Hello, Micheál O'Mara.
And I'm Sonia O'Sullivan.
We're getting better at talking about our mental health.
But we're still not great at asking for help.
Are you prioritising mental health in your workplace?
And looking for the right team to back you?
Then talk to I Am Here, the Irish-based global leader
in mental health and well-being.
Visit IamHereTribe.com
and make mental health the #1 priority
for your team. Slánagh.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. Minimal contact in stadiums shouldn't stop the usual suspects from going down.
Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.
7.5 minutes of injury time gone out in Tala. It looks like it's not going to be for Dundalk. Will O'Callaghan is there.
Time here, it's finished. Dundalk 1, Molde 2 after we played 7.5 minutes of injury time, as you said, at the end of the game. Dundalk had a few chances as they just got the ball into the box in the closing stages, but couldn't fashion a decent chance to have a shot on the Norwegian champions' goal. And it's Molde who've picked up the first 3 points in this Europa League Group B encounter here at Tala Stadium. Dundalk playing in the group competition for the first 2016 held very much a deserved 1-0 lead at the break, Nathan. The Lily Whites goal coming in the 35th minute. John Mountney's inviting cross from the right hand.
No, we seem to be losing Will there, but you got the gist of it. Unfortunately for Dundalk, having led at half-time, they've been beaten by 1-0 by Molde in that Europa League game. And the other game in that group, Arsenal 2-1 up against Rapid Vienna. Elsewhere, Rangers 2-0 up in their game away at Standard Liège. We'll keep you up to date with everything else that is going on in the Europa League across the course of the evening. Celtic up against AC Milan at 8 o'clock. But John Giles is still on the line with us. John, I want to chat to you about Aston Villa because they play your former side Leeds United tomorrow night. A chance for Villa to go top of the league. They've won 4 games from 4. They've been very impressive so far. And I want to get your thoughts on Jack Grealish in particular as a midfielder as to how do you rate Jack Grealish?
Well, I've always rated him, Nathan. I think he's probably the most creative midfield player that England have. The manager doesn't seem to like him very much. He doesn't want to play him, I don't think. But that's the way I would see him. And obviously, I think Dean Smith has done a great job there. He's improved the team from last year, Nathan. I think he's brought 4 players in that particular time. The goalkeeper, Martinez, Cash, Barkley on loan. Watkins up front, I think, is a terrific buy. So that's 4 new players for them. And I think the better the players he brought in, it'll make Grealish even better.
Yeah, because last season was such a struggle. They looked down for the majority of the season and you felt that they just scraped through, and this season will be another real struggle. Is it the quality of the signings then? Is it simply that getting the striker in Ollie Watkins, they finally got the right one? Because they spent so much money on strikers in recent years, basically from when Christian Benteke came into the club, and none of them have worked out. You feel that Watkins does look the real deal?
Definitely. I haven't seen that much of him, and obviously he's a new guy coming in. But he looks like a lad that has the ability. I think he's game. I think he'll be a top class player. And I think what's happened there is, again, Dean Smith. See, Dean Smith is his official thing is coach. He's not officially the manager. And I think this lad Watkins, played at a club he came from, didn't he?
Yeah, he was at Brentford, yeah.
You know, and I did read in the paper where I think he had to do a bit of persuading to get him.
Right.
And,
so you think he got his way and he got the right player at last?
Yeah, well, there's nothing better than knowing the players, Nathan, that you're bringing in. You know, a lot of players, when you're buying a player from another club, you say, yeah, I think he's good, but you don't know him. And he might not be as good as you think he is. And I think that's what's actually, just to go back to Everton for a while, that's going back to Ancelotti. Like, and I know I mentioned early on, it's so important to know this fella. He had Rodriguez at
Real Madrid.
And he didn't do very well there. But he'd know him. He'd say, I know what this fella can do. Mostly when you're bringing in somebody you don't know, you're hoping and you're using your judgment. But I think in Dean Smith's case, he'd know this lad. He'd know he was good. And I think he went to the owner and said, look, we've got to get him. Because I think they paid about 30 million for him. They're not paid, they haven't paid buttons, you know. So I think once you know the player, and it's a big, big help. And I think that's what's happened there. And Dean Smith, overall, as we know, has done a great job. But the players that he's brought in, all I've seen of the ones that he's brought in, have been very, very good, Nathan. And that'll bring the best out of Grealish. Grealish will become another 20-30% better player than he was last year.
Yeah, maybe that'll be enough. At the moment, they're absolutely flying.
Yeah.
Before we go, John, I do want to ask you, tomorrow Pele turns 80, and when we were picking your greatest ever 11 that you played against, Pele was the one noticeable absentee that you hadn't gone up against. Did you have any run-ins with him down through the years?
No, I never played against him, Nathan. He just finished playing when we played. I played once in friendly against him in Lansdowne, North Brazil, and we played him in Brazil with the Irish team, and again in a friendly back. And he just finished playing. Maybe fortunately for us, but unfortunately I couldn't play against him. I met him once. I was over when I was playing in the player manager of the international team. I think he was over in Dublin for some commercial thing or other, and whoever he was brought him out to the training where we were training. So I was delighted to meet him. Of course, he was a genius. He was one of the best players ever. What a player! And I found him really good, Nathan. He was like. He was real footballer talking to a footballer. I was real footballer talking to a footballer.
Yeah.
And his English was very good. And I said, would you ever go into management? He said, no. Management wasn't for him, Nathan. He had plenty of sense, but he was very modest. He was really, really good. And he was like that on the pitch.
Yeah.
You know, like the best players I ever met were always modest individuals, Nathan. And I think that's what made him so good. You know what I mean? Like you get a young lad and he comes into the team and he does well for a year and it's gone to his head. He's gone. Yeah. Just can't handle it. I think the likes of the better the players, the greater the players I met, the more humble they were, Nathan. And you couldn't get any more humble than this man. He was great.
You were the same age then, so like he's making a breakthrough at 17 at a World Cup in 58. Like back then, you didn't go up against him, but would you have got to see much of him on television clips or at the 66 World Cup when he's kicked around the place?
Yeah, he was. Well, I only saw him on the television. There wasn't as much television in those days, Nathan. But you didn't have to see too much of Pele to know what he was like. Actually, I saw him in Sheffield. They were on a tour. His club team were on a tour to Britain back in the 70s, and they were playing at Sheffield. We went to Sheffield, and I went down to see that match. So I didn't see an awful lot of him. I saw him a lot on the television.
Yeah.
But you didn't have to see much of him. You've seen him play on the telly, haven't you?
Yeah, I've seen the goals. I've seen the goals for the years.
He was a goal scorer. He was a terrific controller of the ball and distributor of the ball. But he was a striker, Nathan. And he wasn't such a big fella. I mean, I think he was only about 6'8" or so. But he was absolutely brilliant in the air. I was at the final when they played in Mexico. I was at that. Yeah, I was over there.
Okay.
And he scored the first goal, I think, for Brazil with a header.
Yeah.
And he hardly got a run at the ball, and he was above everybody and knocked it. It wasn't an easy one, and got over the ball and knocked it in. You know.
Yeah.
And if a simple ball was on, he was like all the great players. He made, if it was simple, That was the ball. He never tried to show off or anything in that. He was really, really one of the all-time, as we know, one of the other. I couldn't speak highly enough about him. He was absolutely brilliant and modest with it. He was a team player. There was nothing about Pele where you hear about certain players on his day, if he's in the mood and all that. He just did it.
Yeah.
He just did it, year in, year out. What did he win? 3 World Cup winners?
Yeah.
Nathan?
Yeah.
You know?
58,
3 World Cup
62,
winners.
70, yeah.
Yeah, at 17. He scores a goal in the World Cup to beat Sweden, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like he was just one of the all-time, probably one of the greatest of the greatest.
John, unfortunately we're out of time, but I don't care what happens in football over the next week. We're starting next week with your trip to the 1970 World Cup final.
The 1970 World. Okay,
yeah,
we'll do that.
You can tell us a few tales about it. John, great stuff as always. We'll talk to you then.
Thanks, Nathan. Yeah, see you then. Bye-bye.
All right, John Giles there. If you missed that, you can subscribe to John Giles, of course, on the OTB Sports app. You get all our podcasts there. Dundalk beaten 2-1 in the Europa League. We'll have plenty of reaction to that between now and 10 o'clock.
News Talk Extra, our email newsletter straight to your inbox. Sign up now at newstalk.com/extra.
A classic